Joe Biden has signed 4 more executive orders aimed at increasing racial equity in the U.S. The actions address housing discrimination and criminal justice reform. They're seen as part of a move to fulfill a campaign promise made at the height of the race protests over the summer. The president said the killing of George Floyd opened the eyes of millions and paved the way for change.
The simple truth is, our soul will be troubled as long as systemic racism is allowed to persist. We can't eliminate it. It's not going to be overnight. We can't eliminate everything, but it's corrosive, it's destructive, and it's costly. It cost every American, not just who felt the sting of racial injustice. We are not just a nation of morally deprived because of systemic racism. We're also less prosperous. We're less successful. We're less secure. So we must change, and I know it's going to take time. But I know we can do it.
President Biden, of course. Let's speak now to Sonia Gipson Rankin. She's an assistant professor at the University of New Mexico's School of Law. I know your research focuses on the law and its impact on the African-American community. Good to talk to you again. I suppose one worry here is that this is just words. Do they really mean something?
President Biden is moving directly on one of the 3 main areas that he talked about in his inaugural speech that he wants to really make a difference in, looking at racial justice, the pandemic, and the economy. I'm hoping that it's not words. We know that we want to move these executive orders into legislation so that they stay.
It's something you hear from white supremacists, but also, I think, from many white people who perhaps haven't thought that much about the issue, that people should just move on. Slavery ended officially a long time ago, but even since the end of slavery, there is an awful lot to get over, isn't there?
Well, that was a great way to put it. You know, even though slavery may have ended over 150 years ago, we still see the ramifications of so many purposeful federal policies that led to continued discrimination. Just the New Deal alone purposely excluded persons that either were domestic workers or migrant or field workers from getting access to Social Security. So that is a much more recent way to think at and look at how federal policies can have long-term implications.
And so many microaggressions, racial abuses are systemic, aren't they? They're just built in.
You know, it's part of the air we breathe. Professor Darrell Sue talks about this in his work, right? That it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You don't know where it occurred, but you know that it's happening. And so it's lots of little systemic things that have occurred, whether it's in housing or education or healthcare. These are going to be all important things that we're hoping that these executive orders will start to make a difference on, that are actually documentable.
What else do you need to see to know that Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris are serious about this?
I'm going to be really excited to see the movement and the impact that they're looking to make a difference on as it relates to artificial intelligence and the way that the historic discrimination that's built into the data, or whether the code is being carefully monitored and audited, and we need some transparency. I'm excited to see what work they're going to do in artificial intelligence to ensure that historic racism doesn't turn into tomorrow's racism.
You're confident they can do it and will do it? There's an awful lot on their agenda.
They've got a lot of heavy things, but as they said, everyone can walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm excited because these things are so pervasive throughout so many individuals' lived days. It's impossible to think about the pandemic without its disproportionate impact on communities of color, particularly the Black community and the Native American community.
Really interesting to talk to you again. Thank you.
Great to talk with you.